done stepped in the game? At point blank range, who done stepped in the game? At point blank range, who done stepped in the game? Stepped in the game, stepped in the game.
So I typically don't do this because these are usually rants, and I kind of like to edit my stuff and not go straight raw and uncut and things of that nature. But certain actions and certain behavior is allowed me. Well, I won't say allowed me. Is kind of has me voicing this opinion. This will be an opinion by me, and this opinion is probably going to be pretty strong. So for those that have weak ears, you might want to turn off this podcast or go to another room. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. It's not new. It's been happening for a long time. And the only reason it's in your face now is because it's happening kind of blatantly. And it's still being played off because people that are influential are playing it off because it's in their best interest. Of course, what I'm talking about is the quality of games in general. And the reason why I'm talking about this is it should go with no explanation whatsoever. Everybody knows what was just released, and I'm a fighting game fan, and you know, I've been in tournaments before in the early 90s and things like that, and I'm a really big fan of the Street Fighter franchise. But what just happened when Street Fighter V was released is downright disrespectful. It is clearly It is a targeted attempt at cashing in on the ignorance of basically gamers as consumers. For whatever reason, this industry and sometimes some other areas in the tech industry allow this to happen. In any other industry, this wouldn't be possible. There's no way that you go to a store and you're looking for furniture, and you go to buy said furniture and you're looking for it, and you see these prices and you say, hey, I want this. And when you go to the register to pay for it, the person at the register tells you, what would you like your delivery date to be? You tell them in a couple of weeks or what have you, and they say, okay, we could do that. Your first piece would be there in 2 weeks. Your first piece, you only ordered a chair. And they tell you, yeah, we'll send you one leg at a time. And, you know, then we'll send the back of the chair. We'll send you the upholstery. And then we'll send you the cotton layers on the inside. And you sew all that together whenever you get it. And you piece it together that way. If that ever happened in the furniture industry, it would be bankrupt. But for whatever reason, in the video game industry, we as customers have allowed this incomplete craziness to happen. And it is nobody's fault but our own. Why do I say this has happened before? And why do I say it's our fault? Well, and I'm not even gonna point fingers at fanboys of other consoles and stuff like that. I will name certain situations, but it's our fault because all of us collectively speak with our dollars. You remember back in the day, or I won't even say back in the day, I would just say just a generation ago, or maybe 2 generations ago, Nintendo platforms were not ideal for third-party games. And it's ironic because it wasn't ideal for third-party games for the very reasons that it's okay for this game to be around, Street Fighter V to be around the way it is right now. Way back when, if you wanted to buy a GameCube version of a game, people laughed at you. Why did they laugh at you? Oh, well, that's the inferior version of the game. I think the graphics aren't that good. Or even if the graphics were up to par and they were better than the PlayStation 2 version, oh, well, it doesn't have network features. It doesn't have online. The PS2 version has online. It's It's so ironic that, even the inferior GameCube versions of multi-platform games in the sixth generation have more features than a lot of the quote-unquote AAA games that are released at launch today. That is so ironic. And the very thing that people ran away from when it came to, certain platforms and stuff like that, and you always want to look for the definitive version of a game, now your definitive version is lacking all these features and you make up excuses for it. Oh, well, nobody cheered when Street Fighter V servers came back up. Why the hell would you do that? They were supposed to work in the first place if it's the only way you could play the game. It is amazing to me that in 2016, I can sit down and pay $60 to play a fighting game that I can't even play the person next to me because the servers are down. I can't play against the computer because the servers are down. I can't play against the computer because the CPU is retarded and there's no real story mode. But it's $60 just to play somebody else across the world whenever the servers do decide to work. That is asinine. I try not to rant most of the time, and I kind of observe from a distance. But it's our fault. We allow the press and other influential people on YouTube and TV and all that other kind of stuff to pander and tell us what we want. That's everyone's fault. I don't care if you're a PewDiePie. I don't care if you're insert person here at IGN. It's everyone's fault. If you are influential and you accepted this from day one, it is your fault. There's no reason for you to complain, because I'm looking right now and the most ironic thing I see to me is a game that was clearly panned by the press, Devil's Third, has a higher user score on Amazon than Street Fighter V. Yet, the review scores are the polar opposite. The Metascore for Devil's Third is under 50%. Yet, the people that actually bought the game are happy with it. All you see is Miiverse posts talking about, I don't understand why the press panned this game so bad. And for it being quote-unquote janky, the features are there, unlike Street Fighter V. Well, the core gameplay is good. The core gameplay is good. The core gameplay was good in Street Fighter 2. That game shipped working. You could play somebody next to you. You could play the computer. You could beat the game with every character and see all the story elements. You could enter the Capcom code and unlock special features. There was a sound test. There was an options mode. There were different difficulty settings with different endings depending on your difficulty settings. And that was complete and working across 2 platforms. Yet we have this game that is not only published by a quote-unquote major third-party developer, it's also co-published by Sony, who is a platform holder. And this is acceptable to you? The irony is bewildering. Oh, don't buy Splinter Cell on the GameCube because it's clearly the best version on the Xbox. Yet, the GameCube version had additional missions and connectivity to the GBA. Call of Duty Black Ops 2 on the Wii U does have voice chat, contrary to popular belief. It could work with any headset you plug into the gamepad. It has DLC. Yeah, it came out way late, but it came out. The game wasn't broken when it launched. You can play it offline. It works. It has a single player mode. The CPU isn't stupid as rocks. For $60 when Killer Instinct is for free? Well, at least free for the first 2 characters. But you have a story mode. You can play versus. You can play online. And it is free. We have allowed ourselves slowly since the start of this retarded 8th generation to accept, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say, to accept bullshit is what it is. We are accepting bullshit for $60. From the broken Destiny launch to graphic horrors being upset because they were sold from day one to buy Watch Dogs. From Dragon Age Inquisition being a contender for Game of the Year with a game-breaking bug versus Bayonetta 2. We are allowing these quote-unquote exceptions to take place because, oh, well, these are bigger games and they're better, and the only thing bigger about them is resolution. The games themselves are still the same. The scope isn't that much larger, if at all. You still see stupid shit like invisible walls. But we have this next generation hardware that's so much more powerful with GDDR5 and 17 titty flops of processing power, apparently. And we still have this problem. I just really don't think that at any point in time things are going to get better until our own habits change. If you continue to buy games at $60 and then pay $40 for a season pass to get all the features you used to get for $50 in the 7th and 6th generation, then it's your fault. It's my fault. It's everyone's fault. If you continue to pay for online features that come for free elsewhere, then it's your fault. It's my fault. It's everyone's fault. If you continue to buy DLC that was already on a disc, that's your fault. It's my fault. It's everyone's fault. You know, shout out to Mr. T and a couple of other YouTubers out there that coined the phrase broken gamers. Because we are the problem. We're fucking broke. If we were fixed, this problem would be solved because nobody would be buying these $60 games. They would be returned from retailers, and that would be the end of it. People would speak with their wallets for complete games, and this wouldn't be an issue. But instead, the most popular games are the games that are heavily advertised, with the exception of few. There are very few that word of mouth actually gets them success. You could be the shittiest game in the world, apparently, and as long as you make the cover of GameStop's magazine, or if you have 20 commercials right before your launch, people are going to buy your game no matter how bad they hear it is beforehand. They're just going to get it because they heard about it. They hear about it, then one of their friends talk about it, they're going to think all of a sudden they need to purchase this game because it sticks out in their mind. And that is really sad. That actually opens up a whole nother infernal thought process that is completely unrelated to gaming whatsoever. The hive mentality exists everywhere, and that's beyond the scope of this rant here. I don't even want to call this a ShadowCast because it's the infernal thought process is so offensive. I don't even want to call this an infernal thought process video. Unless we fix ourselves, the games won't be fixed. Unless we keep buying good software where you can tell the publisher actually paid a game testing agency instead of giving 15 betas, and then you think all of a sudden, well, I have exclusive access because I paid $10 to test their game. Guess what that means? That means they didn't pay true game testers to bug test the game. Then when it comes out broken at fucking launch, it's your fault. But instead of them paying somebody, you paid them. And I'm hearing all these things about NX, and I've held back my opinion regarding that console because there's no reason for me or really anybody, in my opinion, to talk about it because we still don't know what the hell it is. So until Nintendo steps forward and say what they need to say, then I really have nothing to say on the subject. And the only reason I'm talking right now is because I hear the lunacy that is EA making demands about Nintendo to market their games on their platform, and that's the only way they'll play ball with them for their new hardware. That's hustling backwards. You got the game wrong. Call me old-fashioned, but in 1982, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004. If your developers made a game, it was the publisher's responsibility to make sure that it sold on a platform. If it didn't sell well on the GameCube, well, that's your fucking fault, publisher. If it didn't sell well on the PS2, it's your fault. You know why? Because this marketing agency over here got it to sell on the Xbox. Please tell me why Prince of Persia sold better on the GameCube. You PS2 guys, y'all should have got it to sell well on the PS2 also. Because that's what a publisher should do. That's their job. There is no reason to ever expect that Nintendo, a major first-party developer, publisher, and hardware manufacturer, to be doing the job for themselves and third-party? Are you retarded? Why? Why in the world would Nintendo pay a publisher to publish their own game on their platform when they have no issues publishing it anywhere else? Last I checked, I'm pretty sure Apple doesn't pay EA to put games on iOS. I'm pretty sure EA has no problem spending the check to make sure they get an iOS game out. They have no problems getting development kits and paying for development kits to get an iOS game out. But all of a sudden it's an issue with Nintendo because you have to compete with them on their hardware. Apple isn't going to go out of their way to make a whole bunch of games. And apparently Sony and Microsoft aren't either. Well, Microsoft is starting to follow that way. Thanks to their new commander-in-chief. He actually found out that first party is the way to go. It might be too late, but at least they got their head on right. Third parties should do their job. And their job is to market their games wherever they are available. If they're available on PC and they don't sell well, Ubisoft, it's your responsibility to make sure Assassin's Creed sells well on PC. Oh shit, it didn't sell that well on Wii U. What are you doing to make sure it sells well on Wii U? Oh, you're not doing anything? Then it's your fault. Oh gee guys, why isn't the Xbox 360 version of Titanfall not selling as well as it is on PC and Xbox One? You better get on that shit and find out why, because we have 80 million 360 users out there that are still online right now playing Xbox Live. We got to get that money. That's Microsoft and EA's issue. So let me get this straight. Nintendo makes and publishes their own games. They make, develop, and ship their own hardware. And in addition to that, they have to pay for the licensing, pay for the shipping, and pay for the advertising of third-party games too? What's the point of even needing EA at that point? That's just another studio in their wheelhouse. They just get another second party and just publish their games. There's no need for EA. That's what that sounds like to me. That sounds like a first or second party developer. Because if you're doing all the work, then that's a second party game. And if you're going to do all that, you might as well do it right so it doesn't end up like Street Fighter V, which Sony published. You know, I'm just about done with this rant. So I'll tell you this. I'm just about done playing a $60 game that I got more than enough of my money's worth out of. And that is Xenoblade Chronicles X. I'm just shy of 200 hours in that game. There is no reason that I will pay $60 for a game that not only is shorter than 10 hours, but it's shorter than 10 hours and isn't that fun, or I'm not able to do that much with. There are some games that have launched this generation that have been marketed to be the best things ever created, and it's just more of the same from last generation with a fresh coat of paint. In some cases worse because it's a fresh coat of paint and they took features away. But guess who foots the bill for that? You, Joe consumer, who's dumb enough to not understand that they're taking stuff away. Or you're too gullible or too ignorant to understand that not only is it happening now, it's going to continue to happen as long as you allow it. I'm sorry, but this needed to be said. A hit dog will holler, so if you're upset, perhaps you should take a look in the mirror, and the next time that you decide to go to GameStop or look on GameFly or look on Amazon, you dig a little deeper before you press the buy button. ShadowCasts signing off. Do you play games to have fun or to impress other people?